Hi, I'm John Mill. Let me ask you a question. Are you just like me? As in, do you want to be a successful therapist with a long list of clients? If you do, then that means at some point you've stopped settling for less. And you're here right now thinking about how you can do better. Now let me ask you as well. Tell me if my experience of becoming a therapist was not unlike yours. I went to a brilliant training school. Wonderful. But when I passed my diploma, I was left then to go and find the clients myself. Maybe I got 2 or 3 clients in. Then I started to see friends. You see your friends and you charge them an extortionately cheap rate. 30 quid for stop smoking or some other kind of strategic intervention. 30 quid. When I just paid £3,000 for a therapy course. Maybe you saw some friends you didn't even charge at all. Then there's always that woman, that friend of a friend that you never really liked, but you've heard that she wants to lose some weight, and now you feel like you've sold your soul seeing her. So you're walking around wondering if this was the right thing to do, and then you start telling yourself those reasons that we call excuses as to why it's not going well. Maybe it's the wrong time of year. Maybe there's not a lot of money about at the moment. And then that full-time job, the one that you was definitely going to leave, seems all the more interesting now. And you start telling yourself you can't afford to leave. And then you remember all those people that you were told you were going to be a therapist. And they're all stopping you in the street. You're trying to avoid them. And they're saying things like, how's that new job you're doing? Does it work? Ever heard that one? Or they'll say, you can't really make much money at it, can you? And you walk away in despair. And to use the old counselling cliche, how does that make you feel? Not too great. Maybe you feel stuck, lost. Maybe you think you made the wrong decision. But then what happens is you start to adopt that stuck feeling in your physiology. So let me give you an example. Imagine I wake up this morning telling myself I'm not good enough. So I've woken up and I think I'm not good enough. How do you think I'll wake up? Will I feel old or young? Old, right? Will I feel full of energy or slow and a little lethargic? Right. Will I breathe deeply from my tummy? Or will I breathe shallow from up here in my chest? Will I walk around with my chin up high, feeling like I'm on first name terms with the world? Or will I have my head down, maybe not noticing things? So I wake up as I'm not good enough. And then my ego starts to turn up. And my ego says, you're better than him. He's rubbish. You're definitely better than him. Why don't you put an advert in the paper? Then you'll definitely be better than them. You're going to be amazing. So I listen to my ego and I rush everything and I put an advert in the paper. But no one phones up. And then my ego says, you sucker. You really ain't good enough. And then the reticular activating system in my mind, in my brain, starts to help me notice that everyone else is in control and I'm not. So all around me now, I don't see people out of control. All I see is people in control. On my Facebook feed, I see people being successful. I see other therapists doing well. I see everyone doing well but me. And I'm dropping stuff. Even when I drop a cup of tea, I say, well, I'm not good enough. Even when I do something wrong, I'm noticing that all the time, constantly. And how do you think being I'm not good enough, I will turn up for work? I'll walk along looking different, won't I? Now let's have a look at this slowed down video. How do I come into work now? Shoulders down, drinking too much coffee, hands in pockets, not noticing the world, internalising all of my worries. I mean, would you even buy a used car off this man? Let alone expect him to change your life? I doubt it. Now, I'm a great believer in life, in that what you want and what you get are two different things. Think of it like this. You don't get what you want, you only get what you are being and what you are feeling. See, your want and your expectations of yourself are two very different things. So if I walk around in life being I'm not good enough, my head's down, I'm not noticing people anymore, I'm giving off something that says I'm a failure, I'm nothing, and I'm not blogging anymore about this wonderful job I have. I'm not going everywhere and telling people that I'm a therapist and this is what I do, I change people's lives. I'm just giving off what I'm getting back. So imagine this. Imagine if I woke up as everything I touch is a success. And imagine that I'm 25. Now, I know I kind of look 25, right? Lucky I can't hear you, right? But if I woke up as everything I touch is a success, and I think I'm 25, I've got loads of energy, I'm full of vitality, and look at the way I walk to work. I've dressed differently, because I feel good about myself. I have this aura around me that I'm giving off, and I'm noticing everyone. I'm talking to everyone. I'm speaking to the woman in the coffee shop and mentioning to her that I'm a therapist. I'm speaking to the man in the barber's and telling him that no, it's not my day off, I'm seeing my clients later. I'm telling everyone about what I do, because there's always the chance that I'll bump into someone that might need my help. I am what I call prostituting myself. Now this is not a thing you can do after therapy's failed. Prostituting yourself means everyone must know about you. Everyone in your town must know what you do. I like to call it being world famous in my town. So imagine the difference between answering the phone as I'm not good enough. I wonder how he will answer the phone. I'm not good enough. Hello, John Mills speaking. Yeah, that's right. I am a therapist. Yeah. I have got availability. Yeah, I've got quite a lot of availability. It's not very busy at the moment, but so that's that kind of time of year, you know. Yeah, it gets like that sometimes. So can you tell me why you're calling? Thank you. And then I wonder how everything I touch is a success, answers the phone. Hello, John Mills speaking. Good afternoon. How are you? I'm fine, thank you. Thank you for ringing. Yeah. I have got some availability, but I'm quite fully booked at the moment, so I've got a slot later today and I've got one in a couple of days. Is that any good to you? Yeah? Wonderful. Can you tell me a little bit about what you're trying to achieve with hypnotherapy? That's right, yeah. Now, because I'm a strategic interventionist, we can use this technique with a client. This is actually called 360 counselling. Think about your client. It's your first session with your client. Maybe you're seeing a client for feeling depressed or struggling with self-esteem, and they're about to walk in the room. How will your client enter the room? Now, you know, in all of your hypnosis training and your counselling training, that a client that comes in feeling very low or stuck will show you in the room how they're being, how they feel. They may lean forward into you, talking softly, like they're going to tell you a secret. They may even put their hands under their legs, as if they're feeling stuck. Or sometimes they'll use metaphors and show you the weight that's coming down on top of them, and that shoulder is like there's a heavy rucksack. And all the time you're watching it play out, as they look down to their right, often accessing those feelings, and the sigh. Everything is in the room now, and you can feel it as you watch it and experience it. And then you ask them to go back in their mind and find a side of them that had more energy, that felt younger. So if you're seeing someone that really is rules driven and everything about their life's very certain, you might ask them, have they got a rule breaker inside? Someone in the past that did things that they shouldn't do. Or you might ask someone who's feeling old and slow and depressed, do you remember a time when you wasn't depressed, when life was about fun? And you wait for the change. Now, if that change doesn't happen, if they start to go back into that old way, well, I can't remember that time and I'm struggling with that. You throw in a swear word, and then something happens. Something changes. Have you ever seen this happen with a client? They look up, they visualize, they move away from their feelings, and suddenly they become lighter. They sit back. They start to become a little more animated. And then you realize that change is happening right in front of you. And you continue talking to them in a lighter voice, keeping that rapport going. And you can see how they are being different. And then at that moment, you suddenly ask them this, whoa, who's this who's just turned up? And they appear shocked. Do you notice how you feel right now? You feel lighter. You look younger. Something's changed about you. And they can't help but acknowledge it. And you say, who's this guy? Or who's this woman? And they'll remember again. And you'll say, how was it to be her or him? And they'll go, oh, I didn't have a care in the world. And you continue exploring this. And then you ask them, let's give this person a name. Let's give this person, this wild one inside you, this happy person inside you, this slimmer person inside you. Let's give them a name. And let them think of a name. Help them if you have to, but let them think of that name themselves. And when they come out with a name, say, imagine waking up as her or him. Imagine just waking up in the morning with this energy you've got now, and all that other stuff's gone. What would be the first thing that you'd experience? And they might tell you, well, I'd start to organise my life a bit better. And then you explore that. So when you're organising your life a bit better, what will happen next? What will be the next thing that you'll experience? And they'll say, well, I'll become more productive, or I won't worry so much, or I'll start that diet I wanted to, or I'll stop drinking. And when you stop drinking, or you're eating healthy, what would come next? I'd probably go to the gym. And you continue this. And then you drop back onto that slow person. Now, go back to being the other person, that slow, depressed one. Go back to being the one that's got no self-esteem. Drop back and you'll see them struggle. And as they remember that feeling, say, give this person a name. When you wake up as this slow, lethargic, old person, what should we call him or her? And they might say, like some clients have said to me, shit for brains, or douchebag. And while they're in this state again, you'll interrupt them with a swear word and say, how does it feel like being that fucking shit for brains again? And again you interrupt and bring it out of them again, that other side of them. Mr. Energy, Mr. Vitality, Mrs. Slim, Mrs. Trim, whatever name they have for themselves. So you're now switching back and forth in one session. And then you can ask that client, think about that slow side of you, that person that you called shit for brains. Imagine they're sitting in a pub and you walk into the pub and they're over in the corner. Would you approach them? Would they even look at you? And if they looked at you, what would you say to them? Would you give them any advice? Imagine you sit down with shit for brains, buy them a drink. What would their story be like? They might say, they'd go on and on and on, because they're fed up with hearing their story themselves, aren't they? They'd go on and on and on. And how would you interrupt that? I'd talk to them about being this other person. And what could they do to change that in the morning? How could you wake up as this energetic person, full of vitality, slimmer, happier, sexier? How are you going to wake up as that person? And can you see what you're doing? You're switching them back and forth, from this part of them that came in to this new part that you have in the room. And this has all happened in one session. Do you know how many years people go to see counsellors to explore this old side of them? The side of them that needs therapy for years and years and years, and in 3 years' time they get nothing out of it. And in one session you've changed everything. How good would that make you feel now? Yeah. So I hope this short video has helped you. And if you'd like to explore with me some of this stuff that you've learned today, we run some courses, me and my colleague Joan at Birkbeck University in London. So at the moment we're running some courses on how to run a weight group hypnotherapy class. It's a master class and it teaches you how to run groups, make lots of money and get a lot more clients, seeing group clients, up to 22 clients in a group, sometimes running 2 groups a week, and those clients are paying you £10 each. So for a couple of groups a week, you'll be taking 300-400 quid for 2-hour sessions. And then from that, you get spin-off one-to-one clients. So how to run a weight group hypnotherapy masterclass. And then we have another course on existential relationship counselling. And that's how to see couples, how to make changes in couples, and how to learn some really important stuff that will move you forward with all your one-to-one clients. So it's not just about couples. And then we're going to do a masterclass on the trouble with kids, how to see children and therapize children and make massive changes in a short time. So if you're interested in any of this, you can click the link below or go to www.dreamseller.co.uk, or you can email me at johnmill@harleystreethypnosis.co.uk. So thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope to see you soon.